We're back with another roundtable discussion on Addison's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking with representatives from the village, township, public safety, our school system, and from the DuPage County Health Department. And today we welcome to our studio another representative of a level of government, and we're pleased to have, along with Mayor Veenstra, State Representative Kathleen Willis from the 77th State House District. Representative Willis's district includes most of northeastern DuPage County and portions of western Cook County.
Correct.
So welcome very much, Representative, for being with us. And we'll talk with you about some of the state services and things that have been happening at the state level with regard to the pandemic in just a moment. But first to Mayor Veenstra. Do you continue on with your almost daily conference calls right now, Mayor? And what are some of the things that you're learning through those conference calls that you've had with officials such as the representative and others who are part of your group?
Well, we're meeting every other day now with all of the taxing bodies in Addison, and Representative Willis joins us on those calls, really to update what's going on in our community and how that compares to what's going on at the county level and at the state level. And you know, we've seen, as we expected, there has been a continued increase in the number of confirmed cases. And a lot of what we're talking about is what we can do as different organizations throughout the village to minimize the attempts to maybe ignore the social gathering and really enforce how important it really is to keep distances and to minimize the potential spread of the virus.
Has that been a problem? We've just passed a major holiday. By the taping of this program, we've passed the Easter holiday and the Passover holiday season. Have the issues about gathering, social gathering, so on, has that become a problem in the community?
What we saw over the weekend was probably an increase of what we would normally see because of the holiday. We're hoping that that was the reason and that we'll see a decrease in the numbers. We had some police calls, we had some reported issues going on that fortunately for the most part our police were able to just explain to them the importance of social distancing, and they complied with it. But it's something that we have to really take as part of our normal life now, is that keeping that space is critical, because it looks like we're starting to hit the peak and that downward curve is coming close. But if we don't continue to observe the warnings and the guidelines, we aren't going to see that peak at this point.
Sure. So observe the rule about gatherings, observe the rule about social distancing.
Right.
Stay at home if you can possibly do that. Those are really probably the three major components of this whole thing.
Definitely.
Especially if you feel ill or someone in your family is beginning to feel ill.
Exactly.
Very good.
And making sure that everybody's aware. Reinforce with your families that this is important. It's not something that's just a nice thing to do. It's really essential.
Representative Willis, let's talk about some of the state issues now. Just so you know, for our viewers know, there's 180 whatever legislators, so you don't get all of the hot off the press information as the governor's announcing it, right? Because people probably would like to know that you do that, and you probably would like to have that information.
I would love it if we don't. If we did. Unfortunately, we get the same information like everybody else does at 2:30 when the governor does his briefing. We do get a written follow-up shortly thereafter. We also do have a link to his chief of staff for follow-up questions on various things. So the governor's office, while we're not getting things ahead of time, they're very good at following up and clarifying any questions that we have or problems that we might have with various agencies as we're working through stuff.
Before we get into some of the state agencies and the services and the information that you want to get out to your constituency and to our viewers, is there anything that's frustrating you about this right now? I know it's easy to say, all in good time, all in good time, but as a member of the leadership and a representative, are you frustrated by some of the information that's coming out, or the lack of information that's coming out?
Well, I get frustrated just like everybody else. I'm human. And so I get frustrated at staying at home. I get frustrated at seeing my hands tied at times. But I also understand, probably because I'm in leadership, that they're doing the best they can. It's a difficult situation. You're not going to make everybody happy all the time, and we have to look at the bigger good. And with that in mind, I think the governor's office is doing the best out of a bad situation. It's impossible to, when things are constantly changing, they don't want to put out misinformation too early. And so
Right.
I would love
So-
to know at 2:15, but
So
if
getting
I don't-
uptight, even I'm talking about just from a citizen, just from a resident, getting uptight about it and getting mad isn't going to help
it's not
mitigate
going
these
to
problems.
change it, right? I mean, the best we can do, as the mayor said, is follow the orders. That's the only way we're going to get through this. Being upset and frustrated. I have a brand new grandson. I would love to see him every day or every other day. We're doing a lot of FaceTime. I haven't seen him in over a month's time in person. You know, and that's frustrating. That's hard. But hey, if that's what keeps him safe and keeps us safe, that's what you have to do.
Let's talk about some of the state agencies, and these are ones that are really the major agencies where a person has more face-to-face contact. Probably the one that everybody has contact with at some point is the Secretary of State's office.
Right, and that one is something that has come up, and we have to make sure that we get that information out. Your license plates, your driver's licenses, those all have expiration dates. All of the Secretary of State's offices, their in-person offices are closed, but they are still working. You can renew your license plates and your even your driver's license if you don't have to take it behind the wheel or a written test. You can do all of that online still.
Okay.
So you can do that, but you also have a grace period in on that. So if you have to take a behind the wheel test or a vision test or any of those tests, as long as the Secretary of State's office is closed, you have a grace period, and your grace period will continue for 90 days after they reopen.
Okay.
So
whenever that is,
you
can tack 90 days
So
on.
you've got that protected. So all of the law enforcement, all the police departments in the area know that. They're not pulling anybody over for expired
don't panic
fruits.
if you
Don't
have an
panic
expiration
if you
date.
don't have it that way. But you can renew it online.
Okay.
And do it that
Try
way.
to get that done if you can. Right. Now, another issue which has unfortunately been a problem because as businesses have been closing, a lot of people are out of work, and some people, it's questionable whether or not they're going to either get back to work or because they're out of jobs that are hourly and so on, they're suffering. And the Department of Employment Security has been inundated, I'm sure, to say the least, with calls from workers who want to know what their options are and how do they apply for unemployment if they need it.
And that actually, there is a list, an updated list on how to do that on the website on it. But there's been a couple of things. The department has been, as you said, inundated with it. So they have gone, upgraded their computer system. They also have hired more people into work. They put all hands on deck as much as possible. So they have doubled their workforce to try to get things through. They also have gone through to the point where they're trying to get people to come and work on certain days. So it's, if you go onto the website, not work on certain days, but apply on certain days according to the last name of your alphabet. So when your name is, it's A through M and then N through Z on certain days to try to not have the
Lessen
system
the load a little
overload.
bit.
Right. They also have shut down the system every night from 8 to 10 to refresh it and get it all up.
Make sure it works the next day.
Right. But you can also, if you're doing it online, you can do it all night long, except through those 2 hours.
Might
So you
not be a
can
bad
do
idea.
that, makes sense. Don't go in the middle of the day. If you try at 3 o'clock, it's going to be a little bit slower. If you need to do it with a in-person phone call, there are certain times, and same thing, it's broken down by the letter of the alphabet your name falls into.
How about the Department of Human Services? What are some of the things that agency can provide?
So they have
In
gone.
addition to locally, I know there's services
Right,
locally.
they actually have put into a website now to help direct people if they are in need of food or shelter or any type of general assistance. So you can go to dhs.illinois.gov, put in the word help is here, and they will be able to get you to the right local agency that can help you. Our local food pantry here is working above and beyond, and there are ones throughout the entire state that we're going.
We've actually seen the food pantry in operation, and we're going to be taking another look at it again in the near future. So it's been good to see how that's been
Right.
working. One thing that people have been very concerned about, in addition to the fact that they have to be, sheltered in place and stay home and so on, but it doesn't get talked about enough, is mental health and behavioral health. And it's something that is usually handled in a local setting. Can be handled through a hospital, can be handled through a private practitioner, such as a therapist, social worker, inpatient services as well. So is there a state agency that is directing and coordinating, helping people out with that?
DHS is working on that, and HHS working together. They're working hand on hand on that. And a lot of that has already been taking place through the portal of telehealth. People that are already in a setting where they're getting behavioral health counseling and stuff, they obviously can't go necessarily see their counselor. They can't go to group sessions and stuff like that. So we've been working on getting telehealth out there, and that's a huge thing. And so the state has expanded that ability. Also, last week, the governor opened up a new type of portal for people that just are feeling overwhelmed for a variety of reasons. And it's a very simple thing. You can text TALK, T-A-L-K, to 552020. You can also do that in Spanish. Text hablar to 552-020, and you can go and someone will call you back within 24 hours and help you talk through your concerns, problems, direct you to a professional that can help you. You can also text that same number something that you know specifically is a problem, a job, food, shelter, and we'll make sure that someone will call you back within 24 hours.
Give the text information again. You just give the English version if you want.
Okay.
It's TALK, and then give the number
TALK
again.
at 552020.
And that is the telehealth?
That
service?
is for mental health
For mental health
assistance,
services.
for behavioral health,
Okay.
or any type of thing. But at that same thing, you can also text in a word after it that you need help.
Very good. All right. The Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, now they're primarily concerned about business success, right?
Right.
In the state and keeping them solvent. And up
Right,
running.
and so under the federal plan and through the state plans, there are a number of grants that can go out to small businesses to help them keep their doors open, help get their employees continually paid during the closure or the slowdown. Also, once this starts going back up, to help pay rent, utilities, all of that kind of stuff.
Necessities.
So there are loans and grants on it, and they are all through the Department of Economic Opportunity, and if you can go and find that. All of those things that I've talked about can all be found, and you can find links to just about everything you possibly need at the governor's website about coronavirus, which is coronavirus.illinois, all spelled out, .gov. And if you go onto that website, there are tons of links to everything you could possibly want to know about coronavirus in the state of Illinois.
Coronavirus.illinois.gov. Okay, and that is a place where you can go that will then get you linked to the various things
To
and the various
any of
agencies
those
that you
other
were talking
things.
about.
Plus, it has frequently asked questions, all of the executive orders that the governor has put out through over the last few weeks.
How did we get along with this without technology?
Well,
I ask you.
and that actually is still an issue and a problem for some people, that
Sure it
we
is.
do have a
There's a
digital
digital
divide
divide.
throughout the state, and it makes it very difficult for people that don't have that.
Right.
So
maybe more than ever, that's when you hear people talk about check in with neighbors, check in with seniors, check in with friends. This would be an opportunity to ask, hey, have you reached out for a certain type of service? Do you know about, for example, the township food pantry? Do you know about the mental health service, the talk line? Do you know about the Secretary of State, the fact that they're granting the grace period and so on? Maybe it's a good opportunity to check on that.
And that's so much so, and I think that's why I know all of my colleagues, we're making sure that we're making phone calls to our seniors. They're probably the people
Which they
that
do
are
here.
the least technical
Right.
advantage.
Is the police department still
They
doing
are
that?
still doing every other day. They're trying to call all the seniors in
Right,
town.
right, yeah, because it's important to know, and even if you have some ability to access things online or through technology, do you know where to go for that? because you could get steered off into a direction that maybe you don't want to be steered at too.
Right. Well, and we know the Department of Employment Security, their line works much better with a computer than with the phone.
Yes,
So
I'm
doing
sure.
applying on your phone
Online.
is much more difficult, and that's why they have to have the call-in number still too.
Right, everything does. Like I said, how did we get along with this? Thank goodness that we have the ability that we do, whether it's visiting with grandchildren
Exactly.
or applying for unemployment insurance, whatever you might need. Representative, thank you very much for
You're
coming
welcome.
in. Busy schedule, I know, and taking the time to talk with us. And Mayor, I think, and again, let's just reiterate, watch the social gathering, watch the distance that you have for the meantime.
It's critical. It really is very, very important. And again, I can't stress to our residents, be smart. Don't take chances. Assume that it's out there and that you potentially come in contact with it. You don't want that for your family. So just take all the precautions necessary.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you, Representative Willis, for being on our program. We
welcome.
appreciate that very much. Again, the reminder for the governor's website for all of the state information that Representative Willis mentioned just a moment ago is coronavirus.illinois, spell out the word Illinois.gov. Coronavirus, all one word, .illinois.gov. Also for the Department of Health and Human Services, the mental health talk line is text the word TALK, T-A-L-K, to 55-2020, 55-2020. Here in Addison, our website address for all the official information is addisonadvantage.org. Our Facebook page is Village of Addison. Our Twitter feed is @AddisonVillage, where you can keep up to date on all the official information. Don't forget to sign up for the Code Red emergency notification system and stay connected here at the Village of Addison with the Addison Connected mobile app. On our next program, we will have representatives from the Addison Police Department who will be addressing our Spanish-speaking community on important information, and then we will be following up at a later time with further programs as well, including with representatives from the Addison Public Library and the Addison Park District as well. Thank you to our guests. I'm Don Weiss. Thank you for joining us.